Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always such a fun ride. I enjoy every single day we can spend with each other. Again, thank you so much for watching, and continue sending email, Donna@donnasedge.com. That's Donna@donnasedge.com. Let's go ahead and get started with the show. I've got Peter Young with me right now. He's an author and a speaker, and he'll come and speak to your group. Hey, Peter, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Donna. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, always, always. Let's talk a little bit and dig a little bit about your background. We've received some emails and about cults and what people think cult leaders are and what you need to look out for. And I'm getting a lot of email from folks who have kids in college. Let me go ahead and pull that list up. And some of the parents are kind of concerned. They say their kids are changing. One says they think it's a boyfriend who's a narcissist, maybe, that she has changed. The girl has changed. Their daughter has changed in the way she carries herself and doesn't seem to have that much confidence anymore. And when she comes home for the weekends, she seems a little beat down. What would you say to that mom?
Boy, great question. I would tell the mom to keep praying, from kind of a larger macro, point of view. When we as parents, and I've got, 2 kids that graduate from college, and I've got 2 around college age, the saying is that, when we send our kids to Rome, we send them to a university where they are teaching things that might be anathema to our personal beliefs. Don't be surprised when your children come back as Romans. And so this happens a lot where kids grow up in a Christian home and they get solid biblical teaching, and then they go off to a university and then they are fed with everything that is anti-Christian. Like literally, they'll teach the opposite viewpoint, on evolution, on abortion, on everything, you name it. Now, when it comes to the specific email that you got from this mom, that can be kind of concerning and disturbing. There are a lot of narcissists out there. Again, what I always tell people, because when I look back to my situation of getting sucked into a tiny religious cult, the biggest, let's say, a vaccine, and even I don't like that word, but let's say that the best way to protect yourself is to maintain a strong, loving fellowship, a community. Because if you have multiple friends, if you are hearing multiple viewpoints, well, then you are less vulnerable, because the person who is isolated is the most vulnerable. The isolated person then only hears the one voice, whether it's the teacher or the boyfriend or the guru. That's when you get into trouble.
Well, she's not certain whether it's a teacher or the boyfriend, but she said as long as she's been going with this guy, she met him in college, she has been different. So, what does she need to do without being nosy, how can she handle this?
Yeah, and I would say that, again, the most important point is, like, if you see someone that has changed, they are different as this daughter does look. To me, then, the greater concern, let's say called it like a double-edged sword, is yes, they're different, but now also that their behavior is different in terms of maybe they don't come home for, Thanksgiving break or Christmas break. Maybe they don't pick up the phone when mom or dad calls, or they don't email or text. That's the huge red flag. Listen, we can all, maybe pick up, when we're young, a bad boyfriend, a bad girlfriend, or we listen to a professor that, it's just, boy, the guy's a little bit off his rocker. But when we get into that situation, then where we cut off everybody else out of our lives and we're only listening to this new person, that's the big red flag. So the fact that the daughter is still maintaining communication with mom is actually a very good sign. Oh,
yeah, I would think so as well. I know when my son started going to college, you don't know what's going to happen. He went to seminary. But the neat thing that happened out of that is I kind of like turned into everybody's favorite mother because I would cook food. Brad said that he said when I would get every time I drive up, the coming out, emptying out the car with cakes and pies and cookies and all that stuff. So I was a popular mom, but the guys actually liked coming to the house. And I liked that. I mean, somebody was always in the, with their back at the refrigerator there, but it was just a lot of fun. I got to see what was going on firsthand.
Right. And that's a good thing too, because cults often will try and keep everything hidden. So they use secrecy, paranoia, and isolation. So again, let's go back to that same email. If this daughter is willing to discuss it, that's a great sign. You may not like as a parent what your child is telling you. Your child may come home and say, no, mom, dad, communism is great. Let me tell you why. And you want to pull your hair out. Yeah. But the good sign is that the child is engaging with you. They are sharing what they know. That's sharing
a good relationship basis right there.
Exactly. Whereas in a true cult, if the child goes to college, he's getting sucked into a true little cult, they're not going to come back home and tell you anything. They're going to keep it all hidden. So if you still have open lines of dialogue, again, as a parent, that's a very good sign.
Oh, I think so too. And I think building a strong relationship with your kids, not being their best friend and stuff like that, but building a good relationship with your kids is so extremely important. And I go back to when I was in school, okay, in the 1970s, okay, things were a little different then than they are now. I mean, we didn't have social media and cell phones and all that stuff. I could have easily been led astray, I think now, because there was problems at home. And I was always looking for a better way. And, I wanted that perfect family and just wasn't going to have it. So that's my point about, and I remember a guy one time walked up to me and offered drugs to me in school. It was tempting because he said, you know what, you'll not, and he was preying on me. I think he saw something out of my personality and he thought, well, this is going to be an easy sell for me. I'm going to get her into drugs. And I really believed that, but all I could see was my grandmother's face. That's all I could see, and had a great relationship with her. And I remember her saying one time, because I had a cousin who wound up ODing, and I remember her saying to me, I don't know what I would do if you did that. I just don't know what I would do. And I just didn't want to disappoint her. But see, I had that building block.
Right. And everybody wants to feel like they belong. Everybody wants to feel like they are part of a group, a community, a tribe. But this is an important point for your audience. And I think I've made this case before, but I want to reiterate it. And that is that cult leaders will try and either blur the lines of the nuclear family or outright destroy it. So in other words, like in my case, the cult leader, the eventual goal was to kind of erase me as father to my 5 kids so that they would look to him as their father. So I was denigrated as a bloodline and a sperm donor. And that way, my kids would then bypass me and they would look to him for their authority. Again, it's all about what's best for the cult leader, not for everybody in the cult. And so that's why maintaining family ties, again, it's positive. It's a good sign. And it's also very healthy and very important.
Well, a mother will notice something about her child that no one else notices. Right. I knew every time Brad had a relationship, I knew every time there was a breakup about to happen. I mean, I just knew, just from the tone of his voice, just from different things. Now when, and Brad and I now are friends. We are now. We were not best friends and buddies when he was growing up. So somebody had to be, and I was a single mom for a long time. Yeah. And so I had to be the good guy and the bad guy. We're going to have to go into a commercial break in just a few minutes, but I wanted to start on the topic of single moms and dads. Yep. And how you can be the good guy and the bad guy at the same time. That's hard.
It is. And as you know, and your audience may know, I am a single dad. I've been a single dad for about 7-8 years now. And what I first say to everybody is that the Lord knew what he was doing when he gave children a mother and a father. Because as great as you did, I'm sure, Donna, as hard as I'm trying, you can't do both. You can do your best, but you can't fulfill the role of both mom and dad like a true mom and dad can. Yeah,
and it's important to let those kids have good role models too.
Yeah, you want them to have, that motherly experience, and then the child also needs to have the experience of having the father in their lives, and that's where a strong community comes in. What really, the important point to make is that divorce is hard. Divorce really affects so many lives, and it's best not to get divorced, because really the best thing for the child is to have a mom and a dad that love each other first and foremost. That is what's best for the child. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. It hasn't worked out in my life. I know it didn't work out in yours. And you do the best, and you pray every day. Like I pray every day for my kids, and I pray that the Lord will give me strength and wisdom and patience just to get through the day.
Well, I've seen a lot of people, some of the people I went to school with, they get a divorce and they start bashing the grandparents. Right. And I never did that. I wanted Brad to have a real strong relationship with his dad's parents. I mean, that was important, So, and I think they were a little afraid I might do something like that. But I let them know right offhand, no. I want my Brad to have your love. Right. He's got to have it to survive. But I think a lot of people go wrong when they do that. They bash the grandparents. That's wrong.
Or they bash the other spouse. So they call that parental alienation, which for some reason it seems like it's a controversial topic. I have no idea why, because it is real. And that is unfortunately what the mother of my children did to me. The idea is that when you bash the other parent, you get the kids to hate the other spouse, and that they will only, truly love and have affection for you. And so, the mother of my kids, she taught them I was the devil, Satan, sorcerer, a bloodline, a sperm donor. It was awful. And it was awful.
Yeah, and I didn't do that. One thing that I am very proud of throughout my life, I've made many mistakes. One thing I'm really proud of is I didn't do that.
Yeah, good for you.
I just didn't see the point. And had he been an abuser or something like that, I would have handled it a much different way, but he wasn't, so I just didn't see the point. Yeah. And I'd like to see a lot of money. As a matter of fact, we went to the same attorney and got a divorce. It cost us $300.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was not my situation. I mean, it's dragged on in the courts for years, and it's been a lot of money. But again, I look at it that, it was worth every bit of money. It was worth all the heartache and stress because of the parental alienation and also the cult-like influence. And the kids need to be rescued from that.
I learned what not to do with my parents' divorce. And theirs was very much like that. Most of their money went on attorneys and court costs. I just didn't see that. And my thought, and I think my ex-husband was afraid I might be that way, And he was so glad, let's just go to the same attorney and because we'd been separated a couple of years anyway. And I had my house, he had his house. And so we just let it split. Yeah, and nice to Brad about it. Yeah. And Brad still got to see his dad. Let's go into a commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Was I perfect in it? But anyway, you got to think of the kids. Just have to.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
This is U.S. Senate candidate Don Brown. This race for the United States Senate in North Carolina is a race of we the people versus they the establishment. The Constitution's first three words are not we the establishment, but we the people. And because of our great grassroots conservatives in North Carolina, I'm pleased to say that we have the establishment candidate that's being rammed down our throats by big money, Mike Whatley. We've got him on the run. As a matter of fact, within the last few days, the Whatley campaign appears to have spent millions on television ads going into a primary race, and even has enlisted the AFP, which is an anti-Trump organization, to go knock on doors for him. Our Democrat opponent, Roy Cooper, has not having to do this. Why? Because Roy's got no competition. We're about to take Whatley out. I need everybody to keep it up. Please go to the polls if you haven't. And if you have gone to the polls, please encourage others to go as well. We will win this by force multiplication. Also, while we don't have to raise all the money that Whatley has raised, we got to raise enough to stay in a boxing ring. So please consider donating to our campaign. You can go to brown4nc.com and just hit the donate button. But above all else, get to the polls, get your friends and family members to the polls, and everyone you know, Don Brown for the United States Senate. This campaign will be a victory for we the people and a victory for the United States Constitution. Thank you so much.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television, radio, and podcast talk show. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/D Feazell. That's D as in Donna, last name Feazell, and you'll be able to find me that way as well. I have Peter with me right now, and Peter, thank you so much for the things you're doing, because you know a lot of folks are dealing with the same, almost the same situation you have, according to my emails. And so another email that was sent is by a woman, and she raised her son in a Christian home, mom and dad influence there, and grandparents were wonderful. And he is being taught things in college, but what he does is he comes home and the parents always ask, what were you being taught this weekend or this week in college? And he says, well, I don't think it's right, but I'm taught this or that, you know. And so they have a good open relationship. Now, how can parents have a good open relationship with their kids, where the kids will come and say, I'm not sure about what I'm being taught in school?
Right. To answer that, I would say the phrase that I learned in sports broadcasting, less is more. Whereas as a play-by-play guy, you know, there's nothing I could say that'll sound better than the roar of the crowd after a home run or a game-winning shot. Less is more. So as a parent, the same thing. Mm-hmm. My children will come to me and they might share something about theology or politics, and it's nails on a chalkboard. but less is more. I listen. I let the child share, because if I start, beating them down and telling them where they are wrong and everything they share with me, well, guess what? They're going to stop sharing with me.
Of course they will.
And that takes a ton of patience, and also your humility and confidence in the Lord, because, as a father, as a mother, we take our role seriously. And so when we hear our children say that they're learning just utter nonsense, we want to step in. But parenting is a marathon, not a sprint. And so, in these short little races, they might be hearing things that are just awful. We have to keep our eye on the long game, on that marathon, bite our tongue when we need to, and share appropriately, or they will stop sharing with us.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, 110%. But the emails I'm receiving, I don't know if it's just the variety of email for you, where they're talking about relationship with their kids, but keeping that human touch, where you're still the authority. And I think that we've lost a lot of that just with television shows. I know back in the 90s when Brad wanted to watch The Simpsons. I hated that cartoon because the parents were stupid in the cartoon. The kids knew way more than the parents did. The kids were just kind of ruling the roost. And a lot of television shows, like the Married with Children one, that was just plain from hell. It's where the dad was just completely just stupid. And then the mom was smarter than the dad, but then the kids were smarter than the mom and the dad. So how important is it to really take care and notice what the kids are watching on television or movies?
Oh, it's very important. And again, when I answer these questions, trust me, I'm not saying that I've got all the answers to everything right, because I have 5 kids. And, my 2 oldest, I hardly talk to at all. The middle child doesn't want anything to do with me. That is 99% a result of the cult influence that they came out of. But I read a good book last year. It's called The Tattooed Jesus. It was my chiropractor. He's a strong believer. He gave it to me. And the gist of it is that, hundreds of years ago, Western Christian civilization, spread out throughout the world, and we would go to these, native populations, and they would have, ink all over their bodies and, bones through their noses. And then as we shared the love of Christ, right, and the truth of the word, we civilized people. And that may even sound hard for our American ears to hear at this point, but it's true. We brought them Christ. We worshiped Christ, not the creator. Okay. So now in the 21st century, it's almost like we're going backwards, where kids nowadays, they come home, they got all this metal in their face and they've got tattoos. Yeah. It's not that metal in the face of the tattoos is wrong. It's, why are you doing that? God created you wonderful, as you are. And, so, it's been a mixed bag with my children, but again, I always I constantly pray. I know that just like all the parables, the woman that lost the coin, the shepherd that loses the one sheep out of 100, these are all parables to show that Christ knows us, loves us, and will not give up on us if we are chosen. And I believe my children were chosen by the Lord. So I pray for them, and I think about the long game. And, I've had children look me in the eye and say, "You're a devil with no soul." And, but yet I still hold out hope. I still pray for them. And I look forward to the day where I can give them a big hug and we have a wonderful, respectful, healthy relationship again. And it may take several more years, and that's okay. I'll wait as long as I have to.
Well, let me tell you something that'll make you feel better. Okay, so my parents get this divorce. And so what I really thought Dad was scum. I mean, I really did. And those were the things that had been told to me for years and years and years. On top of years. Well, I got to noticing he's not saying a whole lot against her. When I would go around here, it was her doing all of the downplay on him. You finally get it. It may take years, but you will finally get it. And then what's going to happen is you'll resent the one who told you the pack of lies. Right. And then that's something I have to be careful of right there. I don't want the hate with either one of them. I just don't. But sometimes it's too late. It could be after one parent dies that you finally get it. Right. But you will. Eventually, I know it seems hard to believe, but eventually the truth does come out.
Yeah. And, I'll tell you this story. You're going to find this fascinating because I have not shared this yet. I do feel like the tide has shifted a little bit with our society. And I chose to fight for my kids, and it was a very hard fight because I did not want to fight my wife. I loved her. I didn't want the divorce. I was devastated, but I fought for them because I could see the damage the cult was inflicting on those kids. Whereas, decades ago, it was kind of like, here's the divorce, husband, you need to support the wife, and the wife's going to get the kids. So my uncle passed away last year. He went to the Naval Academy, was married, had 2 kids. So these kids are my cousins. And, there was a divorce. And so she left my uncle. I never met the woman. And then she remarried. And so those 2 boys now had a new father, and that new father adopted those 2 boys, again, my cousins. But my uncle was badmouthed and denigrated by his ex-wife. And so his relationship with those 2 boys for decades was not good. And one of those cousins I've never met. And so the woman remarried John McCain, former senator. And so my 2 cousins have the last name of McCain because they were adopted by John McCain. And it was very hard on my uncle for all of those years where those 2 boys, again, because of what they had been taught, it affected their relationship with my uncle. And it was strained pretty much his entire adult life. And I just think, what a tragedy that you would do that to a child. Because let's say, again, you might really hate your ex-spouse. That ex-spouse will always be that child's mother or father, no matter what you say or think about that person. And so to, vilify that person like my uncle was vilified is damaging. It's so damaging.
Oh, it is. And another career I really thought about, I really thought about becoming an attorney. But I was going to be an attorney and be an advocate for men who were going through these nasty divorces. I almost did that. Yeah. And but I didn't. Decided to be a talk show host instead and a business owner.
Probably a lot less stressful. I mean, I had very good attorneys. I wish I never had to have attorneys. I never wanted a divorce. I would have done anything I could to try and save my marriage. But what I couldn't do was fake it and try and be a follower to the cult leader, a guy we called Uncle Robert. And I tried, actually, for several years. I was brainwashed for about 2.5 years. But it was never enough for my wife. I was never pure enough or devoted enough. And his presence in our lives was destructive. And as long as he held that position of authority in my wife's life, my marriage, of 20 years was always going to be doomed. And it was.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just saying number one is, you got to think about the kids and how they fit into the situation too. But I can't even count on my hands the people I went to school with who just damaged the dad to the kids. Now the kids have nothing to do with her.
Right.
And again, you do grow.
And it's biblical. Like literally, it's the one commandment out of the 10 that gives you a promise. Honor your father and mother. And I'm paraphrasing, you will have a long life, which means if you don't, you won't have a long life. And my kids were taught in the thick of the split when we just started to head towards the courts. She had left me. She taught the 5 children that the 5th commandment to the Bible didn't apply to me because it only applied to fathers that truly love their kids. So my kids literally thought that they didn't have to respect me because that commandment of the Bible didn't apply to me, and that's horrible.
Well, it's going to happen. I don't know when it will, but it will come back around. A little bit over a minute left in this segment. Let's talk about your books just for a few minutes, or just for about a minute or so, and where folks can find them. They are must read.
Yeah, thank you. So I've got 2 novels about faith in basketball, and then the memoir is called Stop the Tall Man, Save the Tiger. It details my really bizarre and harrowing journey in and out of a tiny cult. You can find all these books on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can also go to my website, which is authorpeteryoung.com.
There you go. Folks, thank you. Thank you, Peter, so much for being on the show as always. And thank you guys so much for watching. And continue sending email. It just makes my day. Donna at donnasedge.com. Donna at donnasedge.com. Thank you so much for watching.